Hey, there's such a movie. And I'm sure it would be unbelievable if I could share his data. A movie swept 17 major awards on the Oscar stage with an astonishing 39 nominations. This is not a dream. It is a true record of glory. But this movie is indeed a divine existence. First of all, let's talk about the miracle created by awards. At the 76th Academy Awards ceremony, it won 11 Haven Awards, including Best Picture and Best Director, becoming one of the most award-winning films in history. Let's talk about the storm of box office, breaking through $2.9 billion US. This is not just a digital victory, but also a proof of the global audience's love for it. Continuing with the explosive rating chart of movie reviews, in most countries around the world with a perfect score of 10, its rating is high above 9.0. Behind each rating, it is deeply loved and recognized by the audience. Let's talk about the cultural phenomenon he created. Its influence spans multiple fields such as culture, philosophy, and art. From the Pope to the general audience, from academia to popular culture, it is everywhere and known to everyone. Finally, let's talk about the visual revolution it led. Its visual arts and special effects technology set a new benchmark for later fantasy films, leading a new trend in film art. This is a truly epic masterpiece. Its name has become legendary. Every frame of its visuals is art, and every story is a legend. Are you really looking forward to this movie now? Now let me review its brilliance for you. The three bureaus won a global box office of 3 billion yuan, equivalent to 21.9 billion yuan, which is equivalent to the total national box office in China from 2001 to 2009, and have won a total of 21 Academy Awards. In the third installment, Titanic was tied for the top spot in film history with 11 Little Golden Men. Major film festivals around the world won a total of 351 awards and ranked 7th in IMDb with a score of 9. Today, for 20 minutes, combined with the original work of the earphones, we will introduce the vast and complex Midway knowledge to explain this epic fantasy movie, the King of Legends series. The first 3 minutes are for the completion of historical background knowledge in order to make it easier for everyone to understand the entire intuitive series. This article will be the longest and most time-consuming collection of information since Bubble Commentary. I hope you will like it. Genesis 1 is the creation of a piece of land by the divine physician Luva in a resounding song. In order to create a perfect world halfway through, the great God asked 15 medium-sized gods, Vila, to help create the world and established engineering, health, transportation, and other departments, each with their own responsibilities. The manager of the medium-sized god Vila City Department and the lowest-level employee responsible for working is the inferior god Maya. The founding company has a clear structure and efficient operation of the world's mountains, rivers. After completion, the great god followed in creating elves, which are perfect creatures. They are immortal and their appearance remains unchanged. Mogls, the manager of the energy department, harbors evil intentions and wants to rule the world. He captured many elves and constantly tormented them, creating a new species of warmongering and cruelty. The ORC followed suit and brought in Sauron, an employee of the engineering department, to become the general manager of the Dark Company and help fight everywhere. The army of orcs was about to occupy Middle-earth, and the elves rose up in rebellion. After going through 590 years and 5 major wars, they ultimately defeated Morgoth. Middle-earth exchanged countless self-sacrifices for peace, and this period was known as the First Age. Because the elves were too perfect, the great god felt regretful and created a second type of life. Human beings only have a short life, but they have extremely complex psychology. They pursue power and reputation by all means, but will sacrifice themselves for higher goals. The creators of dwarves are engineering managers who have inherited extremely excellent craftsmanship, specializing in construction and forging. General Manager Sauron has arrived at the second age and wants to inherit the wishes of the chairman to rule the world. At this time, dwarves, elves, and humans have multiplied for thousands of years, each with their own unique characteristics, becoming the managers of the world. To rule, we must defeat them halfway through. Sauron transformed into a beautiful man, designed a series of lies to lure the elves, crafted 19 rings, injected powerful magic, and gave them to the elves. The leader of dwarves and humans, Sauron, secretly created the One Ring in the Mount Doom. This supreme ring can rule over other rings. It has been 1,000 years since human elves and dwarves fought side by side against the invasion of the ORC army. Despite successfully saving Middle-earth, Sauron, based on Middle-earth, has made a comeback and is now
震天的战鼓再一次响起。
This music is not right. In the second season of the Yuan dynasty, the end of the war unfolds. Due to the immense power of the supreme demon realm, the war lasted for 7 years, and the 3 major ethnic groups were almost wiped out. The prince of the Yuan clan, Ashdado, picked up his father's broken sword at the last moment, cut off Sauron's finger, and the supreme demon ring fell to the ground. Sauron's physical body disappeared, and the 3 major groups narrowly escaped victory. Ashdado returned triumphantly with the supreme demon ring, but was ambushed by half-orcs and shot to death by arrows. The supreme demon realm fell to the bottom of the river, nowhere to be found. Over 1,000 years have passed and a new species has emerged, the Hobbit. They are close relatives of humans, but even elves don't know how they got here. The Hobbit people were primarily engaged in agriculture, and after another 1,000 years of self-sufficiency in the isolated Jarls, a hobbit named Des Ami ago accidentally found the lost ring in the river. The demon realm extended his life and eroded his will, turning Smithsonian into Gollum. Several dwarves came to Charles to reclaim their castle, and the Grey Wizard Gandalf also came here. Hobbit Bilbo Baggins was thus caught up in a wonderful journey and became friends with Gandalf. Here is also an explanation of the identity of the wizards. They are department employees of the founding company, and their status is secondary. Shenmenie appeared in the physical form of a wizard and was divided into 4 levels, Great Rain in blue and white. In the thread drawing, the agency unexpectedly obtained the ring from Gollum's hand and then returned to the Shire to support her life. The disappearing sorcerer felt the call of the demon realm. As long as the demon realm is reached, unifying the Central Plains is just around the corner. It has been 31 years since the last appearance of the demon world. The poet has long forgotten the existence of the demon world, only treating it as an ancient legend. The scroll of the Lord of the Rings film trilogy is slowly unfolding again. The cool summer breeze brushes through the forest, and Frodo, the hobbit, sits quietly under the shade of a tree reading a book. At the end of the road came a familiar song, which was my old friend Gandalf. He was invited today to attend Uncle Bill's 111th birthday. Peace in Middle-earth has been maintained for a long time, and no one knows the origin of the wizard or his relationship with Bilbo. All they know is that he is an old man who can do magic. Bilbo secretly put on the ring and performed invisibility tricks at his birthday party, causing his neighbors to exclaim in surprise. However, Gandalf vaguely felt it was inappropriate and followed Bilbo back home, asking him what was going on. Bilbo was bewitched by the demon world and uttered that famous line, "Pressure precise." Gandalf probably remembers someone saying this before, but it was a good omen and eventually convinced his friend to hand over the ring. Bilbo felt relieved and decided to set sail to settle down, continuing to complete his novel. Gandalf wanted to pick up the ring, but as soon as his hand touched it, he saw his slanted eyes surrounded by flames. Feeling uneasy in his heart, Fred rushed in, picked up the ring, and asked Uncle where he had gone. Gandalf was surprised that the child had not been affected. He then instructed to keep the ring safe and rode back to the newly red capital city of Biacheng. I found historical documents in the library and learned that this may be the legendary One Ring. To verify, all I need to do is put the ring in a flame, and the ring will appear in Elven language, the One Ring, Imperial Middle Ring, and other words. Gandalf immediately returned. Charles threw the ring into the fireplace, and the elf fish appeared on the ring. Many prisoners wanted to give the ring to Gandalf to destroy, but Gandalf was so scared that he took a few steps back. The greater the ability of a person, the more they will be influenced by the demon world. Hobbit is naturally kind, and coupled with Freud being just a teenager, innocent, the ring is almost useless in his hands. There was some commotion outside the window, and when I caught someone inside, it turned out to be Frodo's friend Gandalf. He asked the 2 of them to wear rings and wait at the Yuma Hotel in town. He wanted to find a helper and repeatedly reminded them to be careful. Rings can bewitch people's minds, so they must be extra careful. Gandalf is looking for his senior brother Saruman. There are a total of 5 warriors in Middle-earth, and Saruman, in the white robe, is the highest level. You can understand him as the leader of Wuxi City. Gandalf listened more and more to the boss's words, and finally found out that the ORC had caught Gollum. Under pressure, he finally found out about the whereabouts of the demon world. They have sent the ring spirit to snatch the ring, while Saruman is secretly colluding to help Sauron seize it halfway through. So from now on, Saruman will be alone, trying to persuade his junior brother to help. Gandalf refused, and the two of them started fighting inside the house. Unfortunately, the white robe was 2 levels higher than the gray robe, and Gandalf was no match, trapped at the top of the tower. On Frodo's side, they set off and rushed to the hotel in town. Just as I left, I met 2 friends who were stealing erasers, Merry and Pippin, so the 4 of them walked together. Along the way, they encountered the ring spirit for the first time, and these 9 ring spirits were the kings of the 9 human kingdoms back then. Their physical bodies were completely eroded, leaving only the ghost Frodo to escape the pursuit of the ring spirit with the help of 3 friends. After being safe and sound, they finally arrived at the Yuma Hotel in town. Perhaps due to the intentions of the demon realm, Frodo mistakenly brought the ring in the hotel and entered the underworld. As a result, the ring spirit determined Frodo's specific taste. There was a man in the corner who was staring at him all along. He pulled Frodo into the room and told him his name was Aragorn and he was Gandalf's good friend. Late at night, the ring spirit arrived in the town, and because Aragorn helped change rooms, Frodo and the others escaped unharmed. The next day, Aragorn took them to the elf kingdom of Rivendell, because only elves knew how to solve this matter. At night, they hid at the top of the storm and sang a song in Aragorn, praising the story of the elf Lucy and being loved by Lon. Merry and Pine high and secretly lit a bonfire while Aragorn was leaving, which caught the attention of the ring spirit. Frodo thought the ring could be invisible, so he hastily put on the ring. Unexpectedly, he entered the underworld, and the ring spirits found him more easily. The sword blade pierced through his shoulder, and Aragorn appeared at the critical moment. He blocked the 9 with 1 and temporarily drove away the ring spirit. The serious injury that can be captured, now only the medical skills of elves can save his life. 8 dazzling golden light appeared, which was a breathtaking elf girl. She was the daughter of the elven Ellen King and Princess Arwen of Rivendell. At the request of Aragorn, Eowyn rode a fast horse and wanted to break free from the siege of the ring spirit. However, when he returned to the territory of Rivendell, the ring spirit remained steadfast. Eowyn recited a spell, and the surging river turned into a galloping white horse, rushing towards the ring spirit. When Frodo woke up, he found himself lying on a delicate and warm bed. Gandalf sat next to him, sweating and saying him sorry he couldn't make it to the hotel to make the appointment because he was trapped at the top of the tower. Fortunately, the giant baby J.R.R. came to rescue him and escaped. Many people may not understand why giant babies save people, because giant babies and Gandalf were both subordinates of Villa during the creation period. Simply put, it's a relationship between old colleagues and friends. And the advanced place in front of us is like a painting, which is a shrewd territory. Rivendell Frodo has recovered under the careful care of King Ellen, and his friends are very happy to see him safe and sound. Surprisingly, Uncle Bilbo is also here. Without the influence of magic strikes, he has rapidly aged. Uncle originally wanted to embark on an unexpected journey again, but unfortunately his 100-year-old body couldn't handle it, so he could only stay in Raven. Dell has written his life experiences into stories and translated them into multiple languages. King Ellen and Gandalf looked at the young Frodo through the window, amazed that his heart was so pure that he was in the world at all. It has been learned that the demon world, which has disappeared for 3,000 years, has appeared. The demon lord Sauron is eager to move, and in addition, the white-robed wizard Saruman has defected. Day and night, he helped Sauron build a new army and was forced to accept attempts to attack Middle-earth from both sides of the northeast. For thousands of years, the elves have also dispersed and acted independently. Currently, they cannot resist to large armies. The dwarves are hiding in the mountains digging for gems and don't care about this world at all. Don't mention the human race. Back then, King Ellen witnessed Otto being bewitched and unwilling to destroy the demon realm, leaving behind the root of the disaster. He was extremely disappointed with human beings who were greedy for power. He had just taken over without even an emperor, and now he is leaderless and vulnerable to a single blow. Gandalf countered, saying that there is one person who can unite the human race again, and human race again in a drug use. Inside the Aragorn Hall, Aragorn looked at the sacred sword of his lost in thought. It was the sword of his ancestors, representing the highest power of the human race. However, he did not hold on to these things and left the throne to become a ranger. He only wanted to stay in Raven. Del wants to spend his whole life with Yuan, but Yuan also explains the situation. A great war is approaching, and all living beings are in dire straits. Elves and humans will not have a good life. Persuade Aragorn to return and inherit the throne and make a promise. He is willing to give up his elf identity and become an ordinary human, living with Aragorn. A few days later, King J.R.R. called representatives from various factions in Middle-earth to discuss how to handle it. The Demon Clan is the representative of the Kingdom of Gondor, J.R.R., because Gondor is the largest country of the human race and is adjacent to Mordor. For thousands of years, they have paid the most to protect Middle-earth. The representative of the dwarves is the son of the Turin King Groin, the Golden Elf, and the representative is the Black-First Elf Prince Legolas. When Frodo took out the ring, everyone present was more or less affected. Boromir was the first to be bewitched, but fortunately Gandalf spoke out in a stern warning. Boromir suggested using the ring to deal with Sauron. Aragorn refutes that the Lord of the Rings has only one master, and it is impossible for others to control him. Boromir sneered, "When will it be a ranger's turn to take matters?" Legolas stood up and said he was the son of Elasan, the rightful newly crowned king. Aragorn, who is your immediate superior? Because Aragorn died, Fang was unwilling to return to become emperor. Gondor was taken over by the prime minister and called the regent king, and Boromir was the son of the regent king. If Alil announces his return, Boromir will eventually become a nominal emperor, and he is clearly a bit dissatisfied now. The dwarf dragon king finally proposed that the only way is to destroy this thing. Without saying a word, Ginny swung his axe and chopped it down. The axe shattered the ground, but the ring had no trace. The dwarf dragon king tells everyone that there is nothing in the world that can destroy the demon realm halfway through. The only way is to send it to the Doomsday Volcano and throw it into the blazing lava. The Doomsday Volcano is located in the hinterland of Mordor, where there is 1 million LRC army defending it. Sending a ring is equivalent to dying. Everyone started arguing, and no one wanted to give the ring, but they also didn't want the ring to fall into the hands of others. A weak voice rang out, still the pure-hearted hobbit. He had no evil intentions in his heart and only wanted to send this ring that harmed the world to destroy everyone. Calm down, Gandalf spoke first. He was willing to escort the hobbit to complete the mission, followed by the death of Aragorn, my soul, and you have my blood in my axe. Boromir was also unwilling to fall behind and join the household team. At this moment, he still had miscellaneous thoughts in his heart, more of which was to stare at the demon world and not let the elf dwarves swallow them alone. Finally, Frodo asked 3 friends, Samurai and his uncle, before leaving, gave Frodo treasures which were the thorn and secret sand armor obtained during an unexpected journey. These 2 artifacts are powerful and have played a significant role in the later stages. On the morning of December 25th, 3018, at 91,715, according to the Chinese almanac, the winged horse gave Fire Soul Gold-type powerful Eastern Household Realm team officially left Rivendell and set off towards the eastern Mordor. The best route to take was originally to head south, pass through Saruman's territory, and then head east. But Saruman defected, and it was clearly impossible to go to his side. And Lee once proposed to pass through the dwarf's Moria mine, which was his uncle's territory, but Gandalf disagreed because he knew there was a monster of the same level hidden in the mine and had no choice but to take shortcut. Now only military and dangerous moves are available. After crossing the Misty Mountains and heading south for a while to east and enter Mordor, Saruman is not a good person. He has long speculated about his junior brother's choice. Gandalf's ability to defeat half-orcs is easy, but dealing with that monster would cost him at least half his life if he didn't die. So he cast a spell at the top of the tower, triggering a major avalanche in the Misty Mountains. blocking the way forward and making the Moria mine his last choice. The team probably found the entrance soon. At first, Gandalf was full of confidence and recited the spell, but the entrance didn't show any face and just didn't open. Frodo saw that it was a riddle. Finally, the entrance was successfully opened, which was different from what Gimli had imagined. She thought it would be brightly lit and bustling, but what she saw was a dead silence covered in bones on the ground. A monster suddenly appeared in the lake outside, forcing everyone to enter the mine. The road following the entrance was sealed off, completely cutting off the possibility of turning back. Gandalf lit up his wand to illumine it and continue his journey. The prisoners all noticed a monster secretly following Gandalf along the way, telling him that it was the previous master of the demon world, Gollum. He was bewitched by the demon world and turned into a monster. Frodo complained about why his uncle didn't kill him back then. Gandalf said something very reasonable. I have a premonition that the wheels will have a significant impact on this journey. Whether it is good or bad is unknown. We have no control over the direction of our destiny, but we can decide what kind of person we will become within our limited lives. These words had a profound impact on Frodo. After moving forward for a while, they found the mining hall. The former prosperity is no longer in the hall, with a lonely tomb in the middle. It turns out that when Barain returned to the mine, it was attacked by the orcs. Peepy, who was holding hands, took off the skull. In the quiet sky of the mine, the sound was particularly loud. The half-orcs lurking inside the mine noticed someone breaking in and immediately besieged the hall. The Huji team is all elite members of various ethnic groups, resisting waves of attacks from the orcs. But the cannibal monster that rushed in from behind was not easy to deal with. It was a monster crafted by Sauron according to the Tree Man, especially tall and strong and not easy to kill. She and Maw's sword pierced Frodo's chest. This is the end of the 12-hour-long film series. Just a joke. The members of the team thought the journey came to an abrupt end. When they killed the ogre, they turned around and found that Frodo was safe and sound. It turned out that the light and impenetrable silver armor could save the hobbit's life. The army of orcs is increasing, and now they can only go up as superiors. Gandalf led everyone out of the hall, and tens of thousands of orcs surged out of the darkness, encircling the team and making it impossible to escape. Gandalf thought he was about to face a tough battle, but a howl came from not far away. The orcs trembled with fear and quickly dispersed. Legolas asked what it was, and Gandalf told everyone that it was Yenmo, a powerful monster second only to Sauron. He ordered the team to rush to the Casado Bridge as soon as possible. After all the team members crossed the bridge, Gandalf stood alone on the bridge. He was well aware that this guy, Dul-Wo-Kion, was just like himself, a mock god with the same level of abilities. Now only he could withstand it with all his might. The film also ushered in a tear-jerking moment.
Go back to the shadow. You shall not pass!
Gandalf sacrificed himself to resist the flame demon. If everyone didn't leave, Gandalf would have sacrificed his team members for nothing. Finally, he safely passed through the mine and finally saw the sunshine again. Frodo's heart was extremely heavy, and years of friends and team leaders sacrificed themselves in this way. The team members were also immersed in grief, and they had no choice but to continue moving forward. The next stop is the Golden Forest, which is the territory of the Light Elves. Lord Galad and her husband Celeborn welcomed them. In the middle of the night, Madame called Frodo to meet alone and use magic to showcase possible events in the future. The registered residence team will fall apart and the lives will be destroyed. Frodo was disappointed with the devout sword and took out the demon realm to hand over to his wife for disposal. Forget it, actually all of this is the temptation of the demon world. The magic lures the lady step by step, by step, by step, by step, and this well-known light elf almost fell. Fortunately, the lady's rationality stopped her in time. The next day, before the team left, the lady gave each of them a souvenir gift. Frodo received the light of Elendil, Sam received the elf rope and the magical elf food, which is the kind of food that can last for 10 days after eating a small foot. Finally, the elf's fleet of ships will descend along the Anduin River, which can save a lot of time. They bypassed a bend in the river and the magnificent Cadmus statue of the Gates of the Kings appeared before them. If you watched it in the cinema back then, you must have remembered the stunning visual effects. In amazement, the registered residence team could not help looking up at the two towering colossus, stirring his face, holding the sword tightly in front of his chest, and raising his left arm to prepare. They are Poseidon, his brother, and Arion, and this is the boundary of stiffness. At the same time, Saruman's army of strong orcs had already been prepared, as he only knew that the hobbit a demon realm, but it wasn't clear who exactly held it. He ordered a strong army of orcs to search for the hobbits along the way, and they must be captured alive. All others will be killed without mercy. At this time, the registered residence team stopped at the shore to rest. Legolas felt that there was murderous air on the other side. It should be the strong army coming. Frodo Island's forest collected supplies and encountered Boromir. Boromir was once again bewitched and directly attempted to seize the demon realm. Helpless, Frodo put on his ring again and entered the underworld. Although it dodged Boromir, it undoubtedly exposed its coordinates. After appearing, Frodo met Aragorn again, and as he watched the people approaching the demon realm fall one by one, he didn't know who to believe. The demon world also began to bewitch Aragorn and resisted the temptation and sincerely told Frodo that he would definitely escort him to the Mount Doom. Before he could finish speaking, the vanguard of the orcs appeared in the forest. Aragorn resisted the orcs while urging Frodo to join the crowd. However, Frodo had his own idea and wanted to complete the journey alone. He didn't want to see his friends sacrifice again. Merry and Pippet saw Frodo hiding behind a tree and called him over, but he didn't agree. Pippi suddenly understood the meaning and rushed out to use himself as bait, giving Frodo a chance to escape and fight for it. Just as two hobbits were besieged, Boromir appeared and swung his sword vigorously, cutting off one strong orc after another, protecting the two hobbits from retreating. Unfortunately, there were too many force takers. After the leader aimed at the small slope in the distance, he drew his bow and arrow, and Polomir in the middle of his shoulder continued to counterattack. The second arrow pierced through his abdomen, and he endured the pain and swung his sword again to chop down two enemies. A few strong orcs rushed over, picked up Merry and Pippin, and left, leaving only the leader in the forest. He walked up to Boromir, bent his bow, and drew an arrow, and Aragorn appeared in time. After a few rounds of battle, he swung his sword and chopped off the leader's head. When he turned around and found Boromir, the other person was already on the brink of death. He used his last strength to say to Aragorn, "Tend my king." Legolas and Gimli rushed over and learned that Merry and Pippi had been taken while Frodo went on the road alone. Aragorn understood that Frodo wanted to sacrifice his life for justice and advised Legolas and Gimli to intercept the sea snatchers, first rescuing Merry and Pippin and helping his friends clear obstacles. At this moment, midway through the world, it is the most frightening to hear the wind, representing the pinnacle of human power, Oscar Best Actor, and the benchmark of appearance in the elf world. With the addition of the most beautiful pirate dwarves, the kingdom's combat power is stronger than that of the nobles, and the strongest male Sky Group monster hunting team has been officially established. Good friend Sam has caught up with him no matter how difficult the road ahead may be. He is willing to accompany his friend to overcome obstacles and overcome obstacles. At the end of the film, Frodo and Sam continue to move towards Modo to the east, and it is estimated that the team will be divided into three, waiting for their fate. In the next episode of the program, we will continue this epic fantasy journey in the Twin Towers. If you can see this, it's time to like and leave a message. Thank you for your support.
To avoid missing out on more exciting movies, please click subscribe.